The patient had coronavirus. One of my patients had coronavirus. Good morning, guys. My name is Joanny and welcome to Love Qualified. I am a second year physician associate student training in London, and in today's video I'm going to be talking all about my acute medicine rotation. So this week was supposed to be my last week on my acute medicine rotation. So I was on the acute medical unit and we were supposed to spend 12 weeks on AMU, and last week was the 11th week, and this week was supposed to be the 12th and final week. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I would say, we have been advised by our university not to go to placement this week. So in light of me having some more free time in PA school, which was totally unexpected, but I thank God anyway, I'm not complaining, I thought I would make a video talking about what I've learned throughout my AMU placement. We spent 11 weeks on that placement, so it's our longest placement, and so I'm just going to be sharing with you throughout the week all the different things I learned and what exactly I got to do during the placement. I thought I'll do a different type of video today rather than my usual sit down talking for like 30 minutes about my placement. So throughout the week I'm going to be answering different questions and let you know more about my placement. At the moment I'm just heading to university. I have a university day today, and so I will answer different parts throughout the week. Hey guys, so today's Tuesday and I just got back from attempting to do some grocery shopping. I went with my flatmate Lulu, or my housemate Lulu, and we didn't get everything that we wanted to get on the list, but at least I got something. I think I'm gonna try again another day, but I'm gonna try very early in the morning, I think, because we went around 2, so a lot of the things that we wanted were not there, as you guys might have experienced, because everyone's panic buying at the moment. But I'm gonna try again either today, either tomorrow or the day after, but I want to make sure I go really early in the morning so that I don't miss out on the things I want to buy. But anyway, today I'm going to talk about the different parts of my acute medicine rotation, so the different sections of AMU. So you have the main ward of AMU, where you have the patients that are coming from A&E. AMU is basically a step down from A&E. So the patients who come to AMU, majority of them are from A&E, so the emergency department, and the patients who come in there, they usually stay there for a short time and then they either are discharged home or they are sent to another ward. So in AMU, the patient, it's basically acute medicine. We see a variety of conditions, so it's general medicine as well, so you see loads and loads of conditions. We see patients from all adults, all ages. We don't see children there, so it's usually adults, so 18 and over. We have the main ward, and the main ward in the hospital I was on had 6 different bays. You have the monitored section where you have patients who are the sickest, so patients who are not doing very well, so they need to be monitored. They may be on cardiac monitors, or they are on, say, maybe Optiflow, they're using respiratory support, or non-invasive ventilative methods. They have to be in this bay, and so these are the sickest patients. And then you have the other 2 bays. You have the male side and then the female side. I think it depends, it varies from week to week. So some weeks you can have more males and females, and some other weeks you can have more females than males, so it just depends. And then we had 4 side rooms as well. Or was it 6 side rooms? I think he had 6 side rooms. I can't remember now. And then we had the escalation area, which is not escalation up, it's escalation down. So these are patients who, if we thought that they might be going home soon, or patients who aren't who we don't think are going to be staying for that long, or who don't need monitoring and stuff, so we put them in the escalation area. Every single week on the wards you had the doctors, you had the consultants. So consultants had 2 bays each. And each bay had 6 patients, and then you had the junior doctors who stuck with the consultants for throughout the week. So each So I think each consultant had about 2 junior doctors, and then you had us, the students, the PA students, the medical students. What usually happens from day to day is we come for the ward round in the morning, that we go around and see all the patients that we have been assigned to. Throughout that week we see the same patients, so it's good because we can, sometimes the patients stay on the units for the whole week, and so we get to know the patients, get to know them and do things for them, get to know their families. But sometimes like we see patients a certain day, we come back the next day, they've the whole bay is filled with new patients, so we have to start from scratch. We have the same team throughout the whole week. And after ward rounds, so ward rounds usually start at 9, but we usually get there for like 8:30, and help the doctors prep notes and stuff, and then we start the most of the times the consultants come about 9 o'clock, and we start seeing the patients from 9 o'clock. And then the ward rounds usually finish. Some consultants are quick and they finish the ward round in about an hour, so some people finish at 10, but some others can take a lot longer, so maybe finish at 10:30, 11:30, and sometimes past 11:30 as well, if the patients are really complicated or if the doctors are going a bit slower than others. And then at 11:30 they usually have an MDT meeting, so a multiple disciplinary team meeting, and you have the consultants, the junior doctors, the physios, the nurses, the head of nurses, you have the social workers and occupational therapists as well, especially some specialist nurses as well. They come together and they talk about each of the patients. The different consultants come and present the patients to them, and then the bed manager is there as well, and then they talk about if the patients can go to different wards, or if they're staying in A&E, or if they can step up or step down and stuff like that. So just talk about all the different patients. So yeah, and then so during the ward round, the junior doctors would make a list of jobs that they need to do for each patient, and after the MDT meeting we just start helping out with those jobs. It could be taking bloods, doing ABGs, doing venipunctures, doing cannulas, catheters, I don't know, nebulizers, loads of different jobs really, and would help out with all these different jobs. It could be chasing bloods, calling the lab, adding blood tests, speaking to family, speaking to someone on the phone regarding a patient. So yeah, it's just different jobs, and we just help out the junior doctors with all these different things. And then we have lunch, and then later on in the afternoon, sometimes they have a afternoon ward round as well, which usually starts at 3 p.m. Again, each consultant is different. Some of them can have a virtual ward round where we just look at the patient's notes and we talk about the patients, while other consultants would want to have a physical ward round. So it usually depends, and we usually finish at around 5 really. I usually make sure that I do my hours for the day, and then I go, so usually from 9 to 5 or 8:30 to 4:30. So that's what happens generally on the actual AMU wards. So yeah. Hello guys, I have just come back from university today, and before I just continue talking about my AMU rotation, I just wanted to give a shout out to the very nice girl that I saw at university today. I was going into uni to the library today, and someone walked up to me, and she just was like, oh my gosh, I watch your YouTube videos, you know, and all of that stuff. I'm so sorry I can't remember your name, but if you are watching this, hello. I hope that meeting me wasn't awkward. I really had no idea who you were, but I'm always up for meeting new people. So if you do see me out there in this world, please don't hesitate to come and say hello or hi, because I really want to meet like people in real life. So thank you so much for approaching me. And if you have any questions, anything about your application, I know that you said you're applying to St. George's, just send me an email or hit me up, and I would be more than happy to answer. So thank you for approaching me today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my the time I spent in the ambulatory emergency care unit, which is another part of AMU. That was my favorite experience really, like working in AECU. So the ambulatory emergency care unit, or AECU for short, is connected to AMU, but is like in a separate unit. And you have different consultants every single day, and the junior doctors rotate as well, but sometimes you have junior doctors there who are locum junior doctors, but usually every week you have junior doctors from the wards that come in there and rotate. But I wanted to go to AECU because it has a GP setting, so you have the doctor's office and they have their laptops there, and it's a clinic basically. So the patients come in, they had booked them really prior to that day, they had booked them in to come in to see the doctors or the nurses. They come in and then they put their notes out, the receptionists put their notes out, and then the doctors just go in and just pick up a random patient, and then we go and call the patient from the waiting room, take them to the cubicles, and then we see them, examine them, come up with a differential diagnosis or investigations. And then me as a student, I always presented back to the consultant and talk about the plan forward, and then I would document every single thing and just carry on the advice on what the consultant asked me to do. And I basically followed the patient through. Sometimes I would refer the patients to different things, and then ask the patient to come back for a follow-up, and then when the patient comes back for a follow-up, they would see me as well if I'm there. So it was a very good place to see continuity of care, because I saw patients more than once. So it's basically like a GP setting in hospital, and that is one of the reasons why I loved it so much, is because I love a GP setting. So the ambulatory clinic started at 10 a.m, which was even better. Like, it was even good, because on the wards, like I said, I had to get there for 8:30, but an ambulatory clinic I had to get there for 10 a.m, and sometimes I left at like 6:30. I think the latest I left there was like 10 to 7, and I didn't really mind, because I actually didn't mind staying and sorting out all those patients, because I felt really independent and I just did my own things. Just came in the morning, so picked up a patient, clerked the patient, did my documentations, presented to the consultant. A lot of the times I would need to speak to other healthcare professionals, so I spoke a lot to the microbiology consultant, trying to get advice on antibiotics to start what antibiotics to start on patients. I spoke a lot to the vascular team, because we did see a lot of patients that came in with query DVTs or PEs, especially DVTs. At this trust I was working on, if a patient had a DVT in their arm or a potential DVT in their thigh, so a proximal DVT, you had to contact the vascular team. So I was speaking to the vascular SHOs, and then I spoke to, there was one time when I clerked a patient who came in with a headache, and we wanted to get this patient to do a CT scan, and I had to speak to the consultant radiologist to try and convince the consultant to get this patient a CT scan. And obviously they were asking me questions, like I had to justify why the patient needed a CT scan, and then the consultant was like, well, I wouldn't usually do this, but then you can send the patient out. And I was like, okay, thank you. And then going back and forth, and it was just so scary sometimes, like having to speak to like the consultants. I would introduce myself and say, my name is Joan, I'm calling from the ambulatory emergency care unit, and then a lot of the times they'd be like, are you one of the doctors? I'll be like, no, I'm a PA student. They'd be like, why am I speaking to you? I want to speak to a doctor, please. And then I'll start shaking. But then the thing is, like, I clerk my own patients, so I know the patients, and which is good. I love the fact that I can clerk patients and I know the patients. If you ask me anything about the patients, I know, because sometimes I take their bloods as well. And when we take their bloods and send them off, when the results come back, I know what the blood results are. If I call up a consultant and you ask me anything about the patient, I would be able to tell you, because I've followed this patient from the beginning. And that's one thing that I prefer in the ambulatory clinic, that being on the wards, because on the wards the patients have already been clerked, and so you're basically just following through from what someone has already done, and it's kind of hard to piece everything together and remembering everything that has happened before. So yeah, and then there was also one time when I had to, a patient came in with query PE, and I had to refer this patient to get a CTPA done. And again, I had to speak to a consultant radiologist, and they were asking me questions, what are the patient's kidney functions like? What's the patient's well score? What's the clinical story? So I had to tell them what the patient had come in with, and blah, blah, blah. And so yeah, it gave me a lot of experience, communication, improved my communication skills with the patient, explanation and planning as well. A lot of explanation and planning. I was able to practiced my explaining procedures to the patient, explaining like follow-up plans. I learned a lot about referring patients to different clinics like the anticoagulation clinic, learned about ordering a lot of investigations like echo. So as PAs, we're not allowed to order things like x-rays or any other thing with ionizing radiation, but I could order like ultrasound. So the patients who came in with query DVTs, I could order like ultrasound for their legs, a leg ultrasound, echo as well, which is an ultrasound of the heart, and then other things like a CTPA, chest x-ray. The doctors had to do that because I wasn't allowed to do that legally. So it's not that I can't, it's a very simple, easy process, but because we're not allowed to legally, I had to let the doctors do it. I even had a patient that came in who had atypical pneumonia, and they had done loads of tests to find out which organism was causing it, so if it was Legionella or Mycoplasma. And one of the things that I saw on the test on the viral screen was that the patient had coronavirus. One of my patients had coronavirus, and but then it wasn't the strain, it wasn't COVID-19, it was a different strain. It was Corona 43 or something like that. So it wasn't, they wrote a big note when I was reading the notes. Imagine reading the notes and then seeing coronavirus. I was like, oh! And then they were like, no, this is not associated with the strain that's causing the current pandemic. So I had to just chill. But anyway, yeah, that was an experience. So yeah, that was my experience in the ambulatory clinic. It helped me a lot in terms of my my skills presenting back to the consultants as well, because that was one thing that I struggled last year when I was in GP, my presentation skills, like presenting patients. But it also helped me to think. I just have my own space to think, and also to come up with differentials, come up with a potential plan and investigations. And I just loved following the patients through, and even coming back weeks later, coming back and seeing the same patients I saw and seeing how they'd gotten better, and discharging them from the clinic. And also I had to write letters to the GP as well. So when a patient was discharged from the clinic, we had to write a letter to the GP telling them everything that had happened, why the patient came in, what we did, what the blood results showed. So what we want the GP to do. So for example, if we want them to repeat their iron levels or repeat a blood test in a few weeks time, we would include all of that in the GP letter. And I always made sure that the consultant read my letter, or one of the other senior doctors read the letter, just so that, because these letters were very important because they needed to be sent to the GP. So yeah, so I improved my skills in writing those letters as well, which are very, very good. Yeah, that was my favorite part of AMU, really, being in ACU, because it just reminded me of GP. And yeah. So this is the general medicine or acute medicine clinical placement objectives that was given to me by my university before I started the placement. So if you guys watched my how I'm preparing for clinical placements video, which I did way back in September, that was before I started my clinical placements, I showed you guys all the resources that my university gave me. So this is a list of all the different conditions that we need to know in depth just for our end of placement exam. So this is for the sake of placement. These are taken from the matrix. Not all of the matrix conditions are here, obviously, but these are the ones that my uni thought that were pertaining to acute medicine or general medicine. So they gave us a list here so we have an idea of the conditions that we need to know by the end of the rotation. And these are some just different areas that we need to be able to sharpen our skills on by the end of the placement, I guess. So you have therapeutics and prescribing, clinical planning and procedures, clinical judgment and risk management, interpreting evidence and investigation, examinations, history and consultation. So I have this for every single placement rotation, and it's good because we have end of placement exams, so it would be good to just look at it and see what the learning objectives were and the different conditions that we needed to know by the end of that rotation. So this is a very useful document. I am just here logging in my patients into what we call Typhon. So for my university, we are required to have like a log of patients that we've clocked throughout that rotation, and then we basically log the patients in on this thing called Typhon. And so they basically the university checks just to make sure that we have a certain number of patients. I think we have to log in 500 patients by the end of second year, but then obviously given the current COVID-19 virus, pandemic, I don't know if, I think they would probably lower the total number of patients. But anyway, this is my current view. I'm just here doing some work. After this, I am going to go over my notes for neurology. So these are my neuro notes. I've finished going over the anatomy and physiology, and I am now just going to go over the conditions for neuro. These are the ones that I made from the matrix. So yeah. I also wanted to talk about the different procedural skills that I got signed off whilst on my AMU rotation. So we have the DOPS forms that we need to sign off. They look like this, and we basically have to do a certain number of DOPS. So DOPS means direct observation of clinical skills. So throughout our placements, we have to get these DOPS signed off. If not, we can actually fail a placement by not getting all our DOPS signed off. So I finally got to do a pregnancy test, and I got one of the nurses to sign me up for that. I finally cannulated someone. Like, I'd been so scared to cannulate someone. I don't know why. Like, ABGs, I'm fine with arterial blood gases. I was a bit more confident with ABGs, which are painful for the patients, but with cannulas, I don't know why I always panicked, but I finally got that signed off, and I think now I'm a lot more confident with cannulas, so I don't mind going to a patient and doing it unsupervised. So yeah, I got that signed off. And then I did blood cultures as well, got those signed off. You do a lot of those in AME because a lot of people come in with infections, query sepsis, and so we have to do blood cultures. And then I got nebulizers. One of the nurses assigned me up for nebulizer, which is so simple, so easy, but I don't know why I kept dragging my feet on that one, so I got that signed off. I also got subcutaneous injection signed off, which I should have gotten signed off in GP really. And so yeah, so I've got intramuscular injection left, I've got suturing, and I've got spirometry. Those are 3 ones I'm hoping to do in my GP placement, hopefully. And the suturing, I might do that in ED or general surgery. So those are 2 places I could get those done. But yeah, I also wanted to talk about the different teaching opportunities that I had in AMU. AMU is one of my best placements so far in terms of teaching. So we had teaching every week, some sort of teaching every single week. We had teaching on Tuesdays, which were aimed at students. So one of the junior doctors gave teaching to the med students and the PA students. We had things like chest x-ray interpretation, things like teaching on DKA, so diabetic ketoacidosis, on how to treat hyperkalemia, on upper GI bleed. We had teaching on things like biliary obstructions, and things to do with the gallbladder and different pathologies. And yeah, it was just so useful, and it really helped me understand a lot of the conditions. That sometimes they use cases, real cases from the actual ward, which made sense. And then on Wednesdays we had grand rounds. Grand round was my favorite. Like, I always look forward to grand round because at this hospital we had curry during grand round, because I think some pharmaceutical company used to come and promote some of their drugs, and so they would sponsor the curry Wednesdays. And so I always looked forward to grand rounds, me and my friend, my colleagues, my PA colleagues. And after grand round there was always some sort of teaching. We had loads of variety, like teaching on mental health. Back at Christmas we had a Christmas quiz, and then yeah, we just had different things really, which was really useful. There's one on antibiotics as well, which is really useful. And then on Thursdays we had AMU teaching, so every single person, the doctors, the consultants, some of the nurses, all of us, we came to the AMU doctor's office, and the students as well, and we had teaching. We had some few sessions on clinical governance, which is just reflecting on our practice and how to change our practice to be better clinicians. We had one on like non-invasive ventilation, so CPAP and BiPAP, and I volunteered to be one of the people to try on like the the mask. So I think it was set on the CPAP, I think. And oh my god, like you need to try on one of those. Like when I say you need to try on some of these things that we do to patients so we can actually understand, like you need to get an ABG done, you need to get a cannula done, you need to get blood taken out of you so you know what exactly these patients feel when we do these things on them. But yeah, I got that done. We had a session on like interpreting CT scans by my supervisor, who is one of the consultants. It was amazing. And just loads of other teachings as well. We had one on vertigo and then yeah, we had one on vertigo by one of a stroke doctor, stroke registrar, and then we had some other teaching about like heart conditions as well. So yeah, it was really, really good. I really enjoyed the teachings. I really looked forward to them. On Thursdays we always had food, and yeah, it was just really, really good. So yeah.
Your race, your age, your family, or your circumstance, will any of that really matter?
Or will love be enough? Is who you are on the inside enough?
Are you enough? Ultimately,
everyone, happy Sunday and happy Mother's Day to every single mother who is watching this and every potential mother out there. I just finished having my just following the online live stream for Sunday service. So because the whole of the UK is technically on lockdown, they don't want any social gatherings. So a lot of churches in the UK, all churches in the UK, most of them have been streaming their services online for people to watch, which I think is great. Thank God for technology. But also just wanted to end this vlog by just updating you guys on what is happening PA school wise due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, they have suspended our placements for the foreseeable future. So at the moment we are not currently on placement. As you know, the way my course runs at my university is that we only have secondary care placements and primary care placements in second year, so we don't have any formal teaching and stuff. Is mainly just assessments and exams and placements. Just because of the safety of the students, the university decided to suspend placements for both PA students and med students. The reality of the situation is that we don't know what's going on. There's a lot of uncertainty moving forward. But I think towards the end of last week, I was a bit frustrated with everything and just thinking about, you know, like, why is this all happening now? And I just really wanted to finish PA school this year and finish by September and all of that stuff. And I was just ranting and complaining to my housemate. But then I think what God really just taught me from the one thing I've been trying to hold on to is the fact that even though there is a lot of anxiety in the world at the moment, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of fear, God is still in control. He has always been in control. This pandemic did not take him by surprise. He still sits on the throne. I'm learning to find peace in that. And even though there's a lot of things I don't know in terms of how my course is going to progress from now, the one thing that I'm holding on to is the truth. And the truth is that God is in control and he is good. Now, moving forward, what I'm trying to do is just to try and make the best of this situation, make sure that I'm still studying and still preparing for my exams, my end of placement exams, and also doing my assessments, my case histories, and all of that stuff. And we will wait and see, be patient, see what the future holds for us. We're still holding on hope that I know that whatever happens, even if it's the course is delayed or whatever, I know for sure by God's grace I will still finish PA school. It doesn't matter when that would be. So I'm just holding on to that fact that God is still in control. So yeah, I hope that this encourages you guys. I know that this is a time of frustration really, but it is what it is, and we are all going through it. It's like everyone has been affected by this, so you're not alone. Please reach out to people. Let me know how the pandemic has affected you. If there's anyone that you wants to reach out to me, if you want me to pray with you for anything, please reach out to me. You can either comment below, send me an email, or message me on Instagram, whatever suits you. So just let me know. All here to help each other, so please reach out to people, spend time with your family, spend time with your loved ones. Please be safe. God cares about us. He's taking care of us. Just remember to always lay down your burdens to him, your anxieties and your fear. Lay it all down at his feet. He understands how you feel, and so make sure that you always tell him how you feel, and he will fill your heart with peace that transcends all understanding. Not the kind of peace that the world gives, because the world does not have any peace to provide you, but he will fill your heart with peace and help you to go through this trying time. Make sure that you're safe as well, be washing your hands, and just for the sake of your loved ones, the people around you who are vulnerable, try not to spread this virus, and just take the necessary precautions really. And for those who are working, who are in the front line, who are working as well in the NHS, whether you're a porter or a nurse or a doctor, a PA student, whatever it is, wherever you are, kudos to you. I'm praying for you. You're doing really well. Thank you so much for your hard work and for everything that you're doing. Thank you for watching, guys. Let me know how you guys are doing and what you're doing really, and during this time. Make sure that you're using this time wisely. Try not to procrastinate. Set alarms, set goals for each day, and reach out to your community, reach out to people, and I'll be praying for you guys as always. Please pray for me as well as we go through this journey together. Thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely week and a lovely day, and God bless you. Bye.
Except you build a house, the builders build in vain. Me, I go follow you to go. Anywhere you lead me, I don't know. Jesus, my life is for your glory, your glory.